This is ChainMind, the decentralized AI network built for everyone. Just search ChainMind on Google, sign up, download the app, and you're in. That's it. You've joined the network. Run it on any device, phone, laptop, or server. Why ChainMind? Fully decentralized, fully yours.
It feels like yesterday that home batteries were something you only saw on the roofs of tech-savvy villas, and today they're plastered on billboards, grocery store flyers, and even the TikTok feeds of people who never thought they'd own a piece of cutting-edge hardware. What changed? A single engineering leap has taken a product that cost more than a new car and turned it into something that fits in a garage for a fraction of the price, and the ripple effect is reshaping the entire electricity landscape. The first thing to understand is that the surge we're witnessing isn't a flash in the pan driven by a marketing push or a handful of early adopters. It's the result of a structural shift in how battery packs are built. For decades, manufacturers followed a three-step recipe: assemble individual cells into a module, wire those modules together, then encase the whole thing in a protective pack. Every step added weight, bulk, and, most importantly, cost. The new approach, cell-to-pack, or CTP, throws the middle step away entirely. Imagine packing a suitcase by placing each piece of clothing directly into the bag, rather than first folding them into separate cubes and then stacking the cubes. By eliminating the module, manufacturers can squeeze more cells into the same volume, cut the number of brackets, frames, and thermal pieces, and automate the whole process with robots that place cells straight into the final enclosure. The result is a battery that holds up to 30% more usable energy while the bill of materials drops by 15 to 20%. In plain terms, you get more power for less money, and the price per kilowatt hour, the metric every homeowner looks at, plummets. Those percentages translate into a dramatic price shock that is hard to ignore. A few years ago, a 10 kilowatt-hour system, a size big enough to power a typical home through a night of solar generation, cost upwards of $12,000, a figure that made most families pause at the checkout. Today, the same capacity can be purchased for between $4,800 and $5,500, inclusive of the inverter, basic installation, and the battery pack itself. The industry has moved from the $1,200 per kilowatt-hour range down to the $450 to $550 bracket, a shift that many analysts say is the tipping point for mass adoption. Independent surveys from IRENA and Bloomberg NEF show a steady, year-over-year decline, but the steepest drop happened right after CTP entered mass production in 2022. It's not a hypothetical discount, it's a real, market-wide adjustment that is reflected in the price tags you see on storefronts and online catalogs. But here's the part most people get wrong. The price drop alone doesn't tell the whole story of why this matters for you, your neighborhood, and the grid at large. The real game changer is how the cheaper, denser packs are being deployed in ways that were previously impossible. Homebuilders are now bundling a 7 to 10 kilowatt-hour storage unit with solar roofs as a standard option, financing it through low-interest loans that make the monthly payment look like a utility bill. Retrofit packages have become a weekend project. A compact CTP pack can be wall-mounted in a garage or placed on a floor without the need for a dedicated battery room, meaning an older house can be upgraded without a major renovation. And on a larger scale, entire neighborhoods are aggregating dozens of residential packs into community microgrids, virtual islands that can run independently when the main grid goes down. In places like Austin, Texas, a pilot program has already connected 100 homes, allowing them to share stored solar energy during a heat wave and keep the lights on while the utility experiences a brownout. The smaller footprint and higher energy density of CTP units make these configurations feasible, turning what used to be a niche backup solution into a cornerstone of local resilience. The competitive landscape has responded with a flurry of new models that showcase just how quickly the industry can iterate when the underlying technology is unlocked. Tesla, which once marketed the Powerwall as a premium, standalone product, introduced a second-generation Powerwall that delivers 15 kilowatt-hours of usable capacity in the same physical envelope as the original, while shaving nearly 18% off the material costs. Its price fell from roughly $7,500 to $5,800 for the same capacity, prompting a wave of pre-orders that outpaced the company's own forecasts. Meanwhile, a newcomer called Base Power built its entire line around the CTP concept from day one. Its modular base stack bricks can be stacked vertically, letting a homeowner start with a 5 kilowatt-hour unit for just over $2,000 and add more bricks over time as needs grow. The modularity is not just a marketing gimmick. It allows the same factory line to produce both a single brick starter kit and a multi-brick system. For a larger home, spreading the cost of tooling across a wider product range. Even established players like Sonnen, LG Chem and China's CATL have announced roadmap updates that incorporate module-less designs, signaling that CTP has moved from a competitive edge to an industry standard. Beyond the obvious financial incentives, cheap home batteries are beginning to serve the grid in ways that were once the exclusive domain of large-scale utilities. Aggregators are pooling thousands of residential CTP packs into virtual power plants, selling the combined capacity into wholesale markets for frequency regulation, peak shaving and voltage support. A homeowner in California who participates in such a program can earn a few dollars a month simply by allowing the aggregator to draw a few kilowatt-hours during a high price interval, effectively turning a personal asset into a revenue stream. From an environmental perspective, the higher energy density of CTP packs means fewer batteries are needed to store the same amount of energy, reducing the total material footprint. The streamlined manufacturing process also consumes less electricity, cutting the carbon intensity of production by roughly 10 to 12%. In other words, each battery not only saves the owner money on their electric bill but also reduces the overall carbon emissions associated with making and operating the device. That said, the road ahead is not without obstacles. The denser packing of cells makes disassembly for recycling more challenging, prompting the industry to develop new methods that can safely extract lithium, cobalt and nickel without damaging the surrounding cells. Supply chain pressures remain, especially for high-purity lithium iron phosphate and nickel manganese cobalt chemistries, which are still in high demand for both automotive and stationary applications. Regulatory frameworks also lag behind technology. Some jurisdictions still label residential storage as utility scale, imposing permitting delays and safety standards that were never designed for a garage-mounted unit. If these issues aren't addressed, the momentum built by CTP could stall, leaving homeowners with expensive, underutilized hardware. Looking forward, the convergence of cheap CTP batteries, plummeting solar panel prices and increasingly sophisticated home energy management systems paints a picture of a self-optimizing energy ecosystem. Imagine a house where excess solar power generated at noon automatically flows into a battery. The system then monitors real-time electricity rates, and at the evening peak it releases stored energy to avoid a high price charge. Add an AI-driven controller that learns your daily habits, adjusts charge-discharge cycles to extend battery life by up to 20%, and even sells surplus power back to the grid when market prices spike. Policymakers are already laying the groundwork. Several U.S. States offer up to $1,000 per kilowatt hour in storage incentives, while the European Union's clean energy package recognizes aggregated home storage as a grid resource, unlocking new financing mechanisms. When the technology, economics, and regulation line up, the residential battery will evolve from a convenience to a necessity, a cornerstone of a resilient, low-carbon grid that benefits both individual families and the broader society. So what does this mean for you, the listener? It means that the moment to consider a home battery is no longer a distant future scenario reserved for early adopters. The price point has finally crossed the threshold where a 10 kilowatt-hour system can be financed alongside a solar array. The installation can be completed in a single day, and the return on investment can be seen within a handful of years. It also means that by adopting a CTP-based battery, you become part of a larger network that can help stabilize the grid, lower overall emissions, and even earn you a modest side income. If you're curious about how these emerging technologies are reshaping the energy world, stay tuned with us at ChainMind. We're building a decentralized AI inference network that powers the next generation of smart energy applications, from real-time load forecasting to optimal battery dispatch. Follow ChainMind to get the latest insights, join a community of forward-thinking innovators, and be part of the movement that's turning affordable home batteries from a buzzword into a reality for every household.